r.com/wakeupcall DT. Proud to be with you inside the Cafe Kubal studios every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time, where sports meets life. Of course, you're with us on youtube.com/wakeupcallDT, facebook.com/wakeupcallDT, and on facebook.com/livenowDT. You're also listening worldwide on mixlr.com/wakeupcallDT and on the homepage of Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora's content, which is wakeupcalldt.com. So however you're connected with the show, I thank you so much for being here, tuning in to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. And I'm very excited today as we have a conversation set up with Papa Joe, as he is with us every Thursday inside of the 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. hour. So Papa Joe with us always in hour one on Thursdays. And then Ross Turetsky will be joining us after Papa Joe around 10:15 a.m. Eastern Time to carry us through the second hour of the show. So hour one, PJ, hour two, Ross. The conversation stays the same. Major League Baseball has not struck a deal. The players denied the final offer, and that means that we have already had not only a spring training affected and everything going into the season, but we are now canceling series and the beginning of the baseball season. So, with that being said, PJ is here with us first, and then we'll jump into our conversation with Ross. Once again, Major League Baseball is the topic of conversation. The ones hurting the most, the fans. And so here inside of What's Poppin', we start first with Papa Joe. PJ, how are we doing today?
Good morning, Daniel. I hope you're feeling a little bit better. I'm looking forward to next week, frankly, because Tuesday I get a hip transplant. I've had my right one done. Now I'm getting my left one done. So hopefully it'll stabilize my balance a little bit. I can walk a little bit better, even though I have the neuropathy. But we got to carry on. The Major League Baseball, if you want to call them, it's not. They're just getting together and BSing is what they're doing. They're not even negotiating. You know, and when you're in a deal like this, there's three sides to every story. There's what the only. So I pick and choose what I want to talk about, and usually I'm pretty right on with some stuff, but. As I told you last week and the week before, is that no matter what happens, whatever verbiage they're talking about, whatever deals they make, that are non-revenue producing, those are the ones that can be easily made. And of course the sidelight to the whole thing is revenue. It's revenue sharing. How do you split up billions and billions and billions of dollars? And frankly, the public should get. You're really pissed off about this and just, enough of it. I'm not going to do it anymore. I can't watch him anymore. And you're justified in feeling that way. There's no way to solve this rationally. They have to make deals. Each side has to come up with a little bit of a deal. The only problem is that you got a game that's aging fast, mainly because it's so slow to play. One of my buddies that I went to school with, he says, "You like baseball?" I said, "Yeah." He says, "Well, I don't feel like watching grass grow." And that's how slow the game is. It's slow, and there's several ways to speed it up, but I don't know if it's going to be a bargaining position or not. Pitchers take 30 seconds to throw a ball. Catchers give them 9 different signals. Guy at second base is on second base trying to steal the signal to tell the hitter what's coming. No one knows what's happening. All of a sudden, a minute has gone by. The pitcher steps off the mound, gets back on the mound, goes through the signs again, waits another 30 minutes, and we got a pitch. Big effing deal. God, that's got to stop. Geez. Another thing is that the owners and the managers too in this case, is they're shifting the field to play. Look at when you play shortstop, you're between the second baseman and the third baseman. That's your position. It's not out in center field. The second baseman plays between first and second. That's not in right field. You don't shift everything around. Play the game the way it was supposed to be played. Play it quick, play it fast, and play it hard. And these guys aren't getting it. If it takes you over 3 hours to play the baseball game, you lose your fan. Listen, even the playoffs this last year, every game that was played was outdrawn by the NFL if the NFL was on. Now, what does that tell you?
Yeah.
It tells you that. Doesn't it tell you that the most important part of the baseball season, the playoffs, are getting outdrawn by a really weak early NFL schedule? I was at a baseball game a couple of years ago at my Flagler College here. 9-inning ball game, two really good teams. The score was 2-1. They played the game in 2 hours and 3 minutes. 9 innings, up and down, around and through. They threw the ball, they caught the ball, they ran, they caught, got hit. Oh, why can't the professionals come up with something like that and say, look at, see ball, hit ball, take ball, throw ball. You know, this isn't rocket science. If the kids can play a game in 2 hours and 3 minutes, the pros should certainly play something around 2.5 hours. And that's giving them the benefit of the doubt. So I'm really upset about more things, but, you know, we got to get into the logistics. We're not going to find out what's coming out because there's not very little that's being talked about.
But, you know, here with Papa Joe this morning speaking on the MLB Lockout inside the Cafe Kubal studios on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. I mean, PJ, to see, and you talk about the speed of the game, we'll stick with that for a minute. It is so long, you know, and it's hard to watch because there's not a lot going on. You know, I feel like I can literally, like if Everybody Loves Raymond's on, right? I can have the Yankee game on, flip to Everybody Loves Raymond, flip back, the pitcher's still figuring it out, go back to Everybody Loves Raymond, he's still looking at the catcher for the pitch, go back to Everybody Loves Raymond, he throws to first to go back to Everybody Loves Raymond, he throws to first again, go back to Everybody Loves Raymond. And at this point, I could have watched Everybody Loves Raymond for about 5, 6, 7 minutes before he lets the pitch go. Your point of it taking such a long time, I mean, if I'm a pitcher and I think somebody's going to steal, I could take 10 minutes of the game away just watching that guy. And to me, like, yeah, there's an art to that, but it also takes forever. And, I mean, I remember watching games in the bottom of the ninth where 3 outs took like an hour. You know what I mean? It's like it felt like, and obviously I'm expanding it here, but it took forever. You know what I mean? It's like just to see a couple guys get up to bat, it just took such a long time. And I think my frustration comes not only with the gameplay being long, but 162 games. Because for those of you that are looking at the screen right now, you could see I have an Arizona Diamondbacks shirt on. Now, my Diamondbacks are notorious historically for playing half a season. And they could, you know, there's 162 games. In the first 81 games, they can be 71-10, and then they don't make the playoffs because they just play like crap. I have been a proponent of breaking it up into 2 seasons because 81 games, think about it, the NHL plays 82 games. The NBA plays 82 games. That's their season. That's their regular season. So baseball essentially plays 2 NBA seasons or 2 NHL seasons. And to me, if they broke it up, I don't know why there needs to be 162 games. I understand you're trying to do series and this, that, and the other, but you can sleep through the first 4 or 5 months of baseball and not miss anything. And I think, you know, what fans say now, or like the average person might say now is, hey, I'll watch in September when it matters, but I'm not going to watch in April, May, June, July, August, because who cares? And I think, you know, so to play on the fact that the games take a really long time, I think 162 games, I mean, it's 2 seasons. And we're used to seasons, you know, for the NHL and the NBA, like I said, being 82 games. And you have essentially 2 seasons played in 1 season. And I think that gets on a lot of fans, that 162 games is just too much.
It's brutal. And you got to have a good farm system to keep replenishing it. Even though there's 23 players on a team, sometimes 26, sometimes 40 when the playoffs happen. But if you wind up with 3 or 4 arm problems, you got to either go to free agency or not free agency, but a free agent somewhere that's sitting, or you go into your farm system, which is that's what they're there for, and bring up young kids. The bad part of that is that if you bring up a young kid and he's throwing well and he's shooting, pitching well, fielding his position well, maybe even bunting every once in a while, you got to keep him around. All of a sudden, the second year he does the same thing. He's doing fine. But the way the bargaining agreement is that for 0 to 3 years you don't get anything. You get the average amount of pay, whatever it is, $600,000, something ridiculous. The players have really never been in favor of that. There has to be something else with that. 0 to 3, 0 to 5 years, something like that. The owners are saying, well, we'll give you to 29 and a half years old, and then you can go to free agency. Well, the kid plays all his 20s in the major league. He's doing really well, and he still can't make any money. If that's what you call it. I mean, you're talking about multi-million-dollar contract. You got the best pitcher in baseball, like Scherzer, makes $35 million a year. Mike Trout's the best player in baseball, makes $40 million a year. Now, think about that. Think about what those numbers mean to the average fan out there. The average fan doesn't make $40 million in his lifetime.
Yeah.
90% of the people don't make $40 million in their lifetime. And Mike Trout does it in 1 year. Good for Mike Trout. But, the competitive balance is all out of whack. They got to start from square one and go all the way down. If they want to stay competitive for the dollar, for the entertainment dollar, they got to beat NFL. They got to beat the NBA. They got to beat hockey. They got to beat themselves because the deals that they're putting through are not working. The players want more, of course. The owners want to keep more, of course. Everything should be tied to a revenue stream. If they can come up with a formula, that'll work.
Well, and the thing that doesn't make sense to me, again, is we went over it last week. When your minimum salary is over $500,000, what are you complaining about? The owners and the players should be fighting for the minor leagues right now. There's a large discrepancy between the $40 million contracts, the $500,000 contracts, and the guy who's getting peanuts and Cracker Jacks to play AAA baseball or AA baseball, or single A. When you get drafted, that's the beginning of being poor. When you get drafted, you get to go play and try to make it. And when you do that, you have to probably work another job. Probably, depending on where they have you live and how they have you go through that. Like, baseball isn't like the NFL or the NBA where it's like, hey, kid, you're 18 years old. You're 20 years old. We're going to give you $20 million. Come play for us. That's not how it works. How it works in baseball is, hey, kid, you're good. You're going to go make nothing. You're going to have to work another job. You're going to bang your head against the wall going, how the hell am I supposed to do this? You're going to hope for some breaks that things happen. Some guys are going to have to get injured. Some owners are going to have to change. You're going to move here. This team might lose its franchise. Then you're going to have to go to another city. You're going to have to travel all over the world. You might be in Los Angeles. Then you might be in Binghamton, New York. Then you're going to be in AA. Then you might move again. Then you might move again. Then you might move again. Then you might go to AAA. And after all that time, if you're one of the few people, then you may make it up here. See, if I'm a minor league baseball player right now, I'm looking at the owners and the players and I'm going, yo, screw you both. Seriously. You make billions, you make millions, you make hundreds of thousands. I'm making nothing. And you guys are fighting over this while I'm just trying to live my dream. And the thing that frustrates me is when you're a minor league player, I mean, you're playing for the love of the game because you're not making money. So, you're playing for the love of the dang game. And you may not be living in a great place. Your family might be moving all over. And you're trying to do it. When you're a coach and you're making millions of dollars and you got to move your family all over the country for college football, that sucks. But you're making millions of dollars. When you're a single A, double A, triple A baseball player, you're traveling all over the country, but you're not making millions of dollars. You might not be making $100,000. You might not be making $10,000, $20,000. And that's where I think the problem in baseball is that we got the guys at the top fighting over having a bigger piece of the pie they're already eating, when I feel like the fight should be about the minor league players just trying to get a piece of the pie when all you're giving them at maximum is a crumb.
That's true. Yeah, that's a good point. Let's amplify that a little bit more. You're a good player. You're 21 years old. You're junior at University of Florida. You got drafted by the Los Angeles Dodgers. Bang. They give you $1 million signing bonus. Terrific. You report to single A. Okay? You're doing well. You go up to double A. Second year you play, you're 23 years old. Now you're up to double A, and maybe even go to 3A. You're 24 years old. All of a sudden you get brought up. You're 24 years old. You've been playing baseball all your life, and you still can't make any money, but you're in that little area that they call 0 to 3 years, where you can't go to arbitration for anything.
Yeah.
After 3 years, you can go to arbitration and get yourself a deal. And then after that, after 5 years or 6 years, you can go to free agency and really make a killing. That's 1 in 1/10 percentile of the guys that are going to do that. We're talking about the guys at the very bottom, and you're talking about the guys like Mike Trout. You know, it's not fair, but that's the way it is. And look, they got a lot of work to do on this bargaining agreement. The first thing to do is they got to do that. You know, they got to settle that first. You can always divide up the money somewhere, but there's verbiage in these contracts that you can give and take, and I'll give you this if you give me that, back and forth and back and forth. This is one area that needs to be addressed. And I like your comments about the game being slow. It is slow. Of course it's slow. And Daniel, I've been a baseball fan for 70 years. That's 65 years.
Yeah.
I mean, it's ridiculous how slow the game. There's another area that needs to be broached when you're talking about the speed of the game, and that's the DH. For all our baseball fans that aren't baseball fans out there, the DH is in the American League, but not in the National League.
Yeah.
The National League, the pitchers have got to hit. American League, you got a DH. Now, if American Leagues usually play a National League, when they do the interplay, the American League has a distinct difference because they have an extra player. They have an extra hitter. The National League, that's not quite simple. Now, in order to expedite that, along with getting the pitchers to pitch the ball faster and players to run faster, is the DH. It's got to be universal. Either it is or it isn't. I prefer to say it not because I want to see the pitcher hit. A lot of these kids come up through the ranks, and they were super all-stars because they could hit. But if you're a pitcher and you're coming up through the ranks, you've never been asked to hit a lot unless you're in college where you play a couple positions, and you can do that. Sometimes, we're not going to see the kind of player that the young Japanese boy came through and just took everyone by storm and won the MVP. Everything, you got to start somewhere and start giving each other some give and take stuff. And then the last thing you got to figure out is the revenue. If you can figure out if you can arbitrate all your areas of concern and get those to bed, then the last thing you worry about is the money.
And the thing is, and we've talked about this before, is, the DH. The DH versus a pitcher having to hit in the rotation. And how, essentially, we talked earlier about how you're playing 2 seasons in one season, essentially, with 80-plus games like the NHL and the NBA, but you're playing 80-plus games, taking a break for the All-Star, and then playing 80-plus games again before you get into the postseason. You're playing almost 200 games a year, which is insane. And, and you look at the fact that baseball has ballooned. The only time that baseball does not play, or have spring training is December and January. When I was a kid, the latest that baseball would go was my birthday, October 21st, for the World Series. Now, the World Series will start on my birthday sometimes, and it just continues to go. And I joked about it, but I said essentially find something for baseball to do in December and January and just have it all year long because you're almost there, right? Spring training shouldn't happen in February. February is not spring. February, it's March 3rd today, and it snowed last night. So, it's the reality for me is spring is March 21st. That is the spring solstice. So stop calling it spring training when it happens in February, and stop telling me, oh my God, we got to play till November. You're playing into the snow, and you're starting in the snow. And baseball is not a snow sport. And, we've seen games canceled and postponed with the Mets and the Yankees and the Red Sox and so on and so forth because of snow. And, I'm looking at the length of the season. I'm going, sweet mother Jesus, it's so long. But then we look at the other issue that you brought up. When I talk about there being 2 seasons in 1 season, well, how about this? Half the league gets to have a DH, which is great, and the other half the league gets to have their pitcher hit. Now, if anybody's watched the sport of baseball ever, 99.9% of the time, pitchers suck at hitting. They can throw a ball, but they can't hit one to save their dang life. So, Randy Johnson, my favorite pitcher. Randy Johnson, not a great hitter. Go on any one of the baseball video games and try to hit the ball with Randy Johnson. I did it a few times. I think the game was broken or there was a glitch. So, the reality of it all is, if you're in the league where your pitchers are hitting, that sucks. If you're in the league where you got a big old juiced up dude who can come, think about it. The difference between a DH and a pitcher hitting. Randy Johnson weighed what? 114 pounds soaking wet, and then you got you got Frank Thomas walking out there, big old baby. It's the reality of it all to me is if I got it's like an ace in the hole. If I got a DH, I'm living life happy. If my pitcher's hitting, I'm going, okay, easy out. Everybody come in. It doesn't make any sense to me that one league has the benefit of having a bonus player and the other league has to use one of their current players and force them to hit. Also, why would you want your pitcher to be hitting when they could get hit by the pitch? Why do you want them to injure themselves in a freak accident when they're running a base? You don't want them to tweak an ankle, tear an ACL. The reality to me is, how does baseball exist for so long with one league having a designated hitter, which is an awesome weapon, and then the other league having a pitcher, which to me, most of the time, unless your name is Jacob deGrom or Shohei Ohtani, unless you're one of two, you're going to get out. That's just how it is. And I don't understand how baseball's existed like this for so long.
True. Getting back to the revenue deal, we know that all sports is driven by revenue for certain. And most of the monies that come in through cable contracts. We've talked about New York City's, Boston, Chicago, even Milwaukee has their own revenue stream coming from the games that they televise. All of them are televised. When you're talking about spring training, which in most cases is 35 to 40 games, regular season's 162. Then they got a playoffs, usually 20, 25 games. You're playing over 200 games a year, and you're trying to arrive at the best team in baseball after 200 and something games. Extremely hard to do. And the owners, of course, now are the greedy ones. They want an expanded playoff version. They don't want what it is now. They want more teams. They want 14 teams now instead of 12. Where does that leave you? It leaves you more money to split up. The players have done a good job negotiating over the years. They've risen things considerably for their brethren. They've done a really good job. Sometimes you have to be but Commissioner Manfred came up with a point the other day. He said, we spent $1.7 billion in free agent contracts. That's 4 times more what it was a couple of years ago. Well, yeah, when you got the money coming in, you can do that. We're talking about trying to put together spring training, regular season, and postseason. Now, the owners want an expanded playoff version. Why? Because the more they play, the more money they make. And do the players share in that? Yet to be determined. We still don't have anything concrete that's coming out of these meetings that you can debate like we're doing. Very little comes out. I mean, you can search the internet all you want. You're going to come up with all sorts of ideas and people that are commenting. So you gotta let the process run out, and hopefully it'll come up. It'll be something concrete that we can live with. Right now I'm pissed off as it is. I mean, I was pissed off 27 years ago, and my brother-in-law, who I'm very close with, Turetsky, up in Milwaukee, still doesn't go to the game.
Yeah.
He'll watch on TV, but he won't go to the game because he doesn't want to spend his money on an inflated product. And it's true. I mean, Milwaukee gets $3 million. 3 million people a year come through their beautiful stadium. Yeah. They have a great contract with their cable company. The Brewers make good money. They're a good team, but they're a small market team. But they do really well. Miami is not. It's supposed to be a big market team, but it's not. It's a small market team because they suck every year. They got a beautiful stadium. For some reason, they can't draw enough people to play down there. Tampa Bay is another small market team. All of these guys, they all share in revenues. They share in revenue. And when you have that kind of money, you can pay your players more. Now you got the idea that, well, if we're not going to get that kind of money, the team's not going to get that kind of money, then I'm going to tank. I'm not going to, I'm going to give away a lot of my players. I'm going to trade away a lot of my players, my good players. I'm going to get marginal players. I'm going to raid my minor league system and hope to come up with a competitive team for the next 3 years. I'm not going to draw any fans because my team sucks. But if I do well enough and my teams play 500 ball with marginal players or rookie players, then hey, I've done a good job, and maybe the fans will come. I'm a fair market team. I'm a fair weather team. I'm always been that way. I don't. If my team, like my Gators, if my Gators suck for a couple of years, that doesn't mean I'm not going to root for them. I'm that way. I root for baseball, but there's so many things need to change. And my time we got talk about it, and the time you got with Ross coming up in the second segment, there isn't enough time to cover everything. No. There isn't, but revenue certainly is a way. If someone can come up with a reasonable revenue situation that the players and the owners would share in, that would be fine. The players, look at the players are doing the right thing. The players are trying to get as much money and as much things they can for their players, which is logical. The owners want to play hardball. They're the ones that locked out, not the players. Players didn't go out and strike. The owners locked out. Right now, the owners are the bad guys. Until you see their balance sheets, Daniel. Yeah. You see their balance sheet. Are you serious? We'll never see the balance sheets because they're not public. But the balance sheets are scary because they make so much money. And now they want to, on top of that, they want more. They want expanded playoffs. There's very little wiggle room right now for them.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, it's looking at the issues and looking at this and looking at the money of it all and everything. There's different things to talk about here that we can get into. And, looking at this, MLB PA, Players Association executive Tony Clark said this on Tuesday of this week, March 1st. He said, today is a sad day, and PJ's coming to us from the Sunshine State, so this hits home because this was down in Florida where they were meeting. So now, and by the way, these meetings, they call them meetings. They're not meetings. Might as well just have a little zoom because it's like a 15-minute powwow. It's not even a meeting. So, and again, I said in 2020 during the pandemic when they were trying to figure out how to have a season, I said, if this is how they treat each other and this is how they talk and it's already spilled over into the public on social media, we're seeing the beginning of a very bad divorce. And what do I know of a proceeding that could take 15 minutes and have both sides walk out? A divorce. Where they're like, you know what, screw you, no, screw you first. So, the MLBPA, looking at this is what the executive said Tuesday. So, Tony Clark. Today is a sad day. We came to Florida to navigate and negotiate for a fair collective bargaining agreement. Despite meeting daily, there is still significant work to be done. The reason we are not playing is simple. A lockout is the ultimate economic weapon. In a $10 billion industry, the owners have decided to use this weapon against the greatest asset they have, the players. Now, the MLBPA issued the statement Tuesday evening after that. Rob Manfred, who's the commissioner of Major League Baseball, for those of you that need to know, this is from the MLBPA. Rob Manfred and MLB's owners have canceled the start of the season. Players and fans around the world who love baseball are disgusted, but sadly not surprised. From the beginning of these negotiations, players' objectives have been consistent: to promote competition, provide fair compensation for young players, and to uphold the integrity of our market system. Against the backdrop of growing revenues and record profits, we are seeking nothing more than a fair agreement. With what Rob Manfred characterized as a quote-unquote defensive lockout is, in fact, the culmination of a decades-long attempt by owners to break our player fraternity. As in the past, this effort will fail. We are united and committed to negotiating a fair deal that will improve the sport for players, fans, and everyone who loves our game. Now, Tony Clark, the executive from the MLBPA, went on to say, quote, "They set a deadline here. We're willing to stay here and have a conversation tomorrow. We're willing to fly back to New York. We're willing to go wherever we need to go to get back in the room and continue the dialogue that had begun." End quote. Now, Rob Manfred said, quote, "If it was solely within my ability or the ability of the clubs to get an agreement, we'd have an agreement. The tough thing about this process is we have to get an agreement from both parties." End quote. So, we're looking at, now the Players Association has come out and been very clear, and they've been very open about how they feel. Now, Manfred said, quote, "I had hoped against hope I wouldn't have to have this press conference where I'm going to cancel some regular season games. We worked hard to avoid an outcome that's bad for our fans, bad for our players, and bad for our clubs. Our failure to reach an agreement was not due to a lack of effort by either party." End quote. So we know that the first two series of the 2022 season will not be played as scheduled. And so, and baseball was supposed to start on opening day, which is March 31st, which is less than a month away as we're here in March. So, the player, PJ, the thing about this is, people are going to say what they want to say and tailor how they want to tailor. Like you said, we're not in the room. The Major League Baseball Players Association is saying, hey, listen, the owners are trying to essentially steal baseball from the fans. But then the owners could turn around and say, the players are doing it. And during the pandemic, when they were trying to figure out a season, they spilled out publicly saying the owners won't do this, no, the players won't do that. And they were trying to, kind of like let the public know, hey, you should be mad at them. No, you should be mad at them. I mean, the reality of it all is, if you want to play baseball and you care about the sport and you care about each other, you get it done. What this is showing me is where we currently live in society. Democrats can't agree with Republicans, countries can't agree with other countries, and the owners can't agree with the players. Where does compromise come into the world in 2022? Does compromise exist anymore? Or do we live in a society where if you don't get everything you want, it's no deal?
Both sides lose, Daniel. Both sides lose. Because the public doesn't want to continue reading about this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
They don't want to pay exaggerated prices to go watch a ball game. They only pay $20 for a beer. Look, the owners are greedy. Let's put it that way. We know that, and the players are greedy. Of course, they have a certain time in their life where they can play baseball at a high level, and they want to be compensated for that. Hooray! Good, I go for that. But the owners are greedy. They don't give a damn. They don't care about the guy that sells the program. They don't care about the guy that's running up and down, schlepping up and down the steps, selling beer. They don't care about the ladies running around selling ice cream. They don't care about the price of the hot dogs being too expensive. They don't care about any of that. The parking guy, they don't care about him either. All they care about is the money. The more games they play, the more they make. And the more they make, the more they're forced to give to the union. And for the union's sake, that's great. I'm happy for that. But there has to be the meeting point somewhere. There isn't. One of the tricks I always used in my career was if some union wanted more money than what we were prepared to pay, I always said, well, listen, if we make money, you make money. And it's called the sliding scale. If we handle this much money, then you're going to get this much money for your purses. If we don't achieve that, you're not going to get that kind of money for the purses. And if not, I'm probably going to go out of business. So that's it in a nutshell. I mean, if you want to make a deal, you got to come up with something that's concrete. And these guys won't do it because they're too busy nicking and petting each other. What they need to do is come up and say, listen, this is what we want money-wise. Yeah. This is where you are. Everything else can wait. But you have to give us something more than what you're doing. And I don't blame the players for taking that position. It's a good, sound position. But the longer this goes on, the more pissed off the fans get.
Well, the
fans don't keep reading about this. I just cited the example where they don't even outdraw a weak NFL game when they're making playoffs.
Yeah.
And this is continual. If they continue this type of behavior, the fans themselves are going to wind up striking, which I wouldn't blame them at all. Me, I'm an old baseball man. Mary's going to give me my MLB, and I'm going to like it because I enjoy watching a game, even if it is 3.5 hours long. Yeah. But to sit down and figure it out, where's the money? Here's the money. Use a sliding scale and try to figure out where you fit in it. It's a simple process, but you got to put the nuts and bolts to it and come up with a fair agreement. And they're not going to do that until they catty corner back and forth like this. The owners made a serious mistake here by lockout. They probably could have delayed the negotiation for a month and said, we'll go to spring training, but we'll keep talking, and we'll hope to come up with something.
Yeah.
Now they're stuck. Now if they don't make it a deal, they're going to be without baseball. They're going to be without revenue. No cable company's going to give them any revenue because they're not playing baseball.
Yeah.
So, they're both sides are at a standstill, and it takes a good negotiator to do that. There's a National Labor Relations Board in New York City, of course, that I went in front one time with the union, where if you can't reach an agreement, you go in front of the National Labor Relations Board, and both of you cite your stances, and then they make a decision, and you have to live by that decision.
Yeah, that coming from Papa Joe. We're going to get into some key pieces of this that could be cogs in the wheel right now. We're going to be talking about some more stuff coming up here on the Major League Baseball Lockout and baseball's future in this special wake-up call with Dan Tortora, featuring in hour number 1, Papa Joe, and in hour 2, Ross Turetsky, both joining us to give their thoughts on a sport that they love dearly in a situation that looks anything but positive right now. Baseball is on the clock, and it doesn't look like the clock is moving. Well, they say a clock with a dull battery is right 2 times a day. I don't know if baseball's been right at all lately. We'll talk about it right after this fast break on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. In these unique times, there are those in our community that give us a sense of normalcy and positivity. Pizza Man on 50 Oswego Street in Baldwinsville has been here for you for over 35 years and is here now. Call 315-638-1234 or order online at pizzamanbeville.com to bring those familiar tastes into your home. And remember to come see our monthly on-site broadcasts centered around the community and our Baldwinsville beats. Pizza Man in Baldwinsville. Any way you slice it, they are always here for you.
This is Jim Sikowski, owner-operator of Chick-fil-A Cicero, 7916 Brewerton Road in Cicero, right in front of the Home Depot. I had a deep feeling that God wanted me to do something bigger with my life and to help people, help others. I kept putting Chick-fil-A in my life, and I realized as I was going through the franchise selection process that positively impacting the lives of others was really core to what we do here at Chick-fil-A. First of all, it starts with the food. The food is brought in fresh daily. We bring in local produce. We prepare to order in the kitchen. We hand bread our chicken. We hand spin our milkshakes. It's great food. It doesn't taste like fast food. I think the second thing is the way people feel when they come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. It's different. We try to treat people with intentional kindness here, which is very different and deeper than good customer service. And so I think it feels remarkable for most people to come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. And then lastly, the impact that we try to have in the community is very different. It's a big part of the expectation of every operator of a Chick-fil-A restaurant is that they're actively engaged in their community, they're a leader in the community, and they're making a difference. When they realize that what we're striving to do is to shine a little light in their life, that's a very, very different experience than you will have in any other quick service restaurant. And it's that remarkable experience that I think people will emotionally connect with.
I'm George Townsend of Honda City with some good advice when buying a new car. The true cost of owning a new car is determined by the appraised value when you trade it. No vehicle appraises higher than a Honda. Next, look for low APRs and deep discounts. You also want low maintenance costs and great fuel economy. That's why my advice to you is to buy a new Honda. Looking pre-owned, visit our Honda Certified Used Car Center. Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard, Liverpool, or HondaCity-CNY.com.
It would be a pity if you don't shop at Honda City.
Our corporate purpose at Chick-fil-A is to glorify God by being faithful stewards of all that's entrusted to us and to positively influence all those who come in contact with Chick-fil-A. And what became increasingly clear from our success in Cicero is that people love Chick-fil-A. And also I think we recognized that, we had a great opportunity to grow the brand and grow our platform. I felt incredibly grateful when I was selected to be a Chick-fil-A operator. I think what it's meant for me, what I've come to realize on a very deep level is that this is a calling for me. It's not a career. It's not a job. The Lord called me to be a Chick-fil-A operator and to use these restaurants to glorify Him and to positively influence other people. I'm blessed. I'm very blessed.
Head to Chick-fil-A Clay on 3974 State Route 31 in Liverpool, New York. Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora on wakeupcalldt.com, your one-stop sports shop, and on mixlr.com/wakeupcalldt from inside of the Cafe Kubal Studios, hanging out here with PJ. PJ, that's Mr. Papa Joe. He's here with us every single Thursday where sports meets that thing called life in the first hour from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. Eastern Time. Of course, Cafe Kubal is how you fill your cup up right. I need somebody to deliver some chai tea to my house today. So make sure you get out to Cafe Kubal, 3501 James Street, 401 South Salina Street, both in Syracuse, inside of Golisano's Children's Hospital in downtown Syracuse, and on 343 Fayette Street in Manlius, New York, as well as on the corner of Route 11 and Taft Road in North Syracuse at Sweetheart Corners in their drive-through location. Talking about the Major League Baseball lockout and baseball's future, and some of the points here that we, obviously one of the ones we made here is that regular season games are going to be missed. opening day will be delayed, and baseball is going to lose regular season games here, and that is going to be tough. This is the first time we're going to see a missing of games since the 94-95 strike that I think almost killed baseball. Another thing here is that the expanded postseason may not happen. Now, the Major League Baseball and the Players Association had reportedly agreed on an expanded 12-team postseason field, though the union had previously warned they would not agree to an expanded postseason if players are not paid their full salaries in 2022. So now that we're going to see regular season games being missed, we may not see an expanded 12-team postseason, so that's something to look at as well. Now, another piece of this is Major League Baseball, where they're at right now. Major League Baseball saying, looking at the lockout kind of here, and they've said that things have been productive. And other people are saying that that's not the truth. Again, whether or not we're getting the truth, like Papa Joe and I were talking about off the air, when Major League Baseball, when the league says this is your last and final offer, no, it's not. No, it's not, because there's no baseball being played. So it's not the last and final offer. There will be another offer, because unless you decide that you're never going to play baseball again, there's going to be an offer. Now, the luxury tax threshold, taking a look at this, as we look at this, is baseball's soft salary cap, quote unquote. Now, looking at this right now, allegedly the MLB for 2022 wants the luxury tax to be $220 million. The MLBPA wants $238. Then in 2023, so this is how the MLB looks. 2022 through 2026, the luxury tax, allegedly for them, they want it to be 220, 220, 220, stay there for 3 years. Then 224, then 230. The MLBPA wants 238, 244, 250, 245, 263. So theirs goes up, 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 down, and then takes a giant hike. There's obviously a huge discrepancy that Major League Baseball allegedly wants their luxury tax to be $230 million in 2026, when the MLBPA allegedly wants $238 in 2022. So Major League Baseball doesn't even want to go to the minimum of what the MLBPA is asking for this year, and that's an issue. Now, the luxury tax threshold was $210 million in 2021. MLB proposed zero increase, like I said, in 2023 and 2024. And if there's zero increase in luxury tax, but you keep making money, that doesn't make sense. So there's something to be looked at there, of course, as well. So I mean, yes, there's a lot of money issues that come down to this, and if you're that far off on the luxury tax, where you're $30 million difference in certain places, then that's going to be a huge issue. I mean, ultimately, we saw this play out, like I said, on a smaller scale during the 2020 pandemic season. PJ, we saw the owners say, we need to save as much money as possible. We're poor. And then the players going, BS, you're poor. So, it's we're in this back and forth, but the reality of it all, and you, like I said, you said it off the air, this is not the last and final deal, because the owners aren't the owners of anything if there's no baseball. If there's no MLB, then there's no 30 league owners. So obviously they can say whatever they want to say, but they need a season to happen, and they need the teams to play. So they're going to have to figure something out somehow, some way. And I think that ultimately the main players in this, the owners that have a lot of pull, the people that can be leaders, someone's going to have to step up with the players. Someone's going to have to step up with the owners, and they're going to have to get together, and they're going to have to show a unified effort. Because unless these two sides start showing that they have anything other than lightning rods and polar opposites, there's going to have to be somebody that can step out from an organization as an owner, someone who can step out from an organization as a player, and start working together and talking amongst each other. Because right now nothing's happening, so now there's going to have to be some leadership that rises up. And I don't care what team it is, I don't care who it is, but someone's going to have to start speaking in a way that makes sense for both sides. Because if we're going to sit where we're sitting right now, think about it. They were having problems in 2020. It's 2 years later, and they're still having problems. Obviously, somebody else needs to start speaking up, because the leaders of the MLBPA and the leaders of of Major League Baseball, they're not budging.
True. There are some areas where that you can, as I stated earlier, there are areas that you can solve to make it sound like you're making headway. And these just are, they don't break the bank. For instance, they've got here, there's a $55 million gap in the new pre-arbitration bonus pool. Well, you can play with that a little bit. And a $25,000 gap in minimum salary. Those two items are bridgeable. You can hash those out. You can split them in half if you want to. What they're not going to split is what the CBT is, and that's a heck of a lot of money. Now, a lot of people don't know, but the new television contracts are kicking in this year, and with that becomes extra income. That's why the players are saying, and you brought up the point where they start at $238 million and go to $263 million. That's what they're counting on right there. They're counting on those new television contracts and even the regional contracts to kick in and build up the luxury tax so the players can benefit from that. That's why there's such disparity. I mean, for the first year, $220 million and $238 million, that's $18 million. And that's a lot of money. And when you start divvying this stuff up and look at the balance sheet of these owners, they're not crying uncle at all. They've always tried to break the union, Daniel. They've been trying to do that for years. They had a miserable deal 27 years ago when we had no baseball at all, just about. And it's common. I'm proud of the way I ran my companies for my owners, but I had to make some hard decisions where I had to bust some unions, and that's not easy to do. And because you're dealing with people's lives, with their own payroll, but you got to play it hard. You got to play it tough, and the owners don't have any inkling at all about shutting the players down this year. They want to play because the more they play, the more money they make. And the expanded playoff deal is something that they're hanging their head on. The luxury tax is something that it's not going to go away because it's arbitrary. And it's for the end of this deal from 2026, $230 million to $263 million.
Yeah.
That's a huge, very, very. That's not going to go away. And as I said earlier, when we were talking off the air, it said that the owners made their final and last offer. Well, that's something that you put out there for the fans to read. Oh, the Major League Baseball is playing tough. They made their final offer. Oh, we're not going to get any baseball. Then they blame the players because the players aren't trying hard enough. And but the players can come around and say, "This is our final offer too," and then it reverts back to the ownership. There's no easy way to do it. You got a revenue stream. It's huge. It's in the multi-millions of dollars. Sit down and figure out a sliding scale that would work. Even if it has to do with it takes a little money from the smaller market. The smaller markets are making a lot of money. They're making a lot of money because they're sharing in the TV deals. Even places like Tampa, which doesn't draw 15,000 people a game. That's terrible. 15,000 people times 81 games. That's not even 1 million people a game a season. Well, Milwaukee gets 3 million. New York Yankees get 3.5 million. The Dodgers get almost 4 million.
Yeah.
They're making money on the site. The little teams are making the money off the site with the contracts for the TV. So there's no easy way to do it. They just got to sit down and, as I said last week, sit down with some pizza and some beer in a room, lock yourself in there, go to the bathroom, come back and negotiate until it's done.
Yeah, and seeing this the way that we're seeing it right now, I think it's funny that Rob Manfred, the commissioner of baseball, said, quote, "The concerns of our fans are at the very top of our consideration list." No, it's not. No, it's not. Because you just canceled 91 games. You just canceled 91 games. So, in the world that we live in 1972, 86 games were lost. In 1981, 713 games were lost. In 1985, 25 games were lost, but 23 of them were made up. In 1994-95, 948 games were lost. You're already giving up almost 100 games. Stop telling me that you care about the fans. Because those fans wanted to come to opening day. Some of those fans bought Mets tickets for the first time in years. Some of those fans were bringing their kid to the first game that they've ever been to. Some are bringing their dad, and this might be the last year they can bring their dad because their dad's in his 90s. Baseball needs to understand something. You cancel games, don't say you care about the fans. Because somebody may die before they get to see their next game. Somebody may not have the money to see the game by the time you guys figure it out and hot dogs are $72 a pop. So the reality of it all is, it's not about the fans. Because if it was about the fans, you'd be thinking about grandma and grandpa, mom and dad, son and daughter, friend, girlfriend and boyfriend. You'd be thinking about that aunt and uncle and cousin. You're not thinking about us. You're thinking about yourselves. And that is the utmost problem. Listen, I'm not telling the players that when the league threw them an offer at the 11th hour that they should just sign it just to get baseball played. I'm not saying that. I'm a firm person that you read every single article and every single letter to the T of your contract. I pissed off a lot of businesses because I read my contract and I questioned stuff that was not okay. I'm confident that one of the companies I worked for was never going to hire me again no matter how I did my job because I questioned jargon in the contract that saved their butt and put me in some really dicey situations. I had a guy tell me, I've given these contracts to people for years and no one's ever questioned this. I said, well, what you wrote in this contract gives you all the power and puts me in a horrible situation. I'm not signing it unless you fix it. So the reality of it all is you need to read your contract. You need to agree with everything in there before you sign it. You need to know exactly what you're doing. With that being said, just because the league threw them a contract doesn't mean they need to sign it. But now, as we look at baseball being locked out, they were locked out on December 2nd. December to January, January to February, February to March. 3 months, because today's March 3rd. So it's been 91 days. 90, 91 because there's 30 and 31. But 3 months' time that we have had no progress. The last time baseball stopped, it almost stopped dead in its tracks. And what are you hoping for? That Shohei Ohtani, Jacob deGrom, and you know, Mike Trout become your new Mark McGuire's and Sammy Sosa's to save baseball? What's going to save baseball this time? Can it survive? And I think that that's the main question.
True, you bring up the Angels, which is my favorite team, frankly, and you look at their payroll. You can do it you pull up their website. Mike Trout and his ridiculous contract. Ohtani now is an international player that gains respect because he can play two positions and he makes a hell of a lot of money and he's big and he's fat. So, you know, players like, he's a generational talent. But the Angels can pay a lot of money to a lot of their players because they have the best contract, period, in baseball. They have the best TV revenue contract from their cable, and they share in the best, going to be the best now, contract from the national television revenues. So if you don't think that the Angels can afford to pay those players, think again, because they can make, their payroll is ridiculously high.
Yeah.
And if they can afford to pay it, and they got the best players, and they're going to continue to play.
Well,
the only thing that bothers me about this deal going forward is that I want to see the compensation for the younger players get a little bit better. And as I say, if you're 21 years old and you're a rookie in the league and you're doing okay, and after 3 years you're doing really well and you're one of the stars of the team, you can't make any money because in 0 to 3 years you're stuck with whatever the minor salary is, $601,000, some ridiculous number like. And then you go to, if you go to from 3 to 6 years to 3 to 5 years, I'm not sure which one it is. Then you go to salary arbitration, like the kids from Chicago did, the third baseman, Ken Bryant. And then, if you're lucky, and you're 29 years old, or maybe 29 and a half, maybe you can get the free agency and start making a lot of money. Now, here's a double-edged sword right here. And the owners know that. Once they give these contracts to these players, all of a sudden you see the players go into a funk. They don't play as hard. They don't try as hard because they're fat. They got the contracts. There's a no trade. They got a no trade. They can't be cut. They make $10 million a year for sitting on their butts, and the fans are trying to figure out, why don't you cut the guy? Well, if you cut the guy, you still got to pay him, and that happens a lot. You see these guys make a marginal player maybe gets a 3-year deal for $15 million a year, $15 million, $5 million a year. All of a sudden, he can't hit a ball, or he can't catch a ball, or he can't run anymore. And the fans, they pick up on that. They say, well, this guy just got his money. Why isn't he doing better? Why? Because he doesn't have to try anymore. That's to me, that's not a competitive balance right there. If you want to provide better compensation for the younger players, I don't have a problem with that. But make it fair. If the kid is a world beater, by the time he's 24 years old, start giving him some money.
Yeah, and we're looking at, where Ohtani is. His contract is marked in arbitration 2 right now. Looking at and you talked about the Angels and the amount of money that they can afford to pay out. I want y'all, if you're not sitting down, I need y'all to sit down. If y'all are driving, I need y'all to pull off on the side of the road because I don't want you to hit anything. Now, Mike Trout, history, $37.1 plus million. Anthony Rendon, this is just with the Angels, $36.5 million. Justin Upton, $28 million. Noah Syndergaard, $21 million. Iglesias, $10 million. Aaron Loop, $7.5 million. Mike Lorenzen, $6.75 million. Shohei Ohtani, $5.5 million. Fletcher, $4 million. Max Stassi, $2.7 million. Mike Mayers, $2.2 million. So the lowest contract that I'm reading right now for the Angels for this year is $2.2 million. The highest, $37. They're paying 4 players over $20 million a year to play baseball. I'm sorry, PJ. I know there's 2 sides to this story, but I really don't feel bad for the owners when you can afford to pay 4 guys over $20 million.
And that's why the fans see that too. They know that when the new TV deal kicks in, the advertising revenue is going to be so huge, it's going to be insurmountable to overcome. Which is why I got to go to Publix. I got to pay $4 for a 6-pack of Pepsi now instead of paying $3.50. But if Pepsi's going to be one of the advertisers for Major League Baseball, and they gave Major League Baseball $2 billion to do that, well, they got to make it up somewhere. They're going to make it up on the poor fans. The fans are the ones that are going to get it. And I still say that if the fans stick together on a concerted effort, not a regional effort, but a national effort, to say, strike, damn it, just get out there and put up a sign and say, I'm not putting up with this BS anymore, and F you, I'm not watching any more games either. So you got to do what's right, and I think that's one area that the fans can do. We're not getting all the information. There's 3 sides to any deal. There's a good side, the bad side, and the side in the middle that we're never going to find out until we get a deal.
Yeah, and somebody's going to have to start working this thing out because these contracts are insane. I'm going to pick a random team. PJ, out of all 30 teams besides the Angels, pick a random team just so I can prove something with salary. Pick any team.
Tampa Bay.
Okay. So we're going to go down to Tampa Bay. And we're going to look at Tampa Bay's contracts for 2022. Tampa Bay Rays. Here you go, folks. Now, remember I told you the minimum salary last year in baseball was $570,500. $570,500. million. Corey Kluber, $8 million. Mike Zunino, $7 million. Tyler Glasnow, $6 million. Manuel, $5 million. Yarbrough, $4.6 million. Brooks Raley, $4.25. Brandon Lowe, $4 million. Austin Meadows, $4 million. Choi, $3.2. Yandy Diaz, $2.5. Matt Whistler, $2 million. Kittredge, $1.5 million. Wander Franco, $1.45. Francisco, $1.4. Brett Phillips, $1.25. Yanni, $1.2. Nick Anderson, $900,000. So on a team that's known for not paying their players crazy money, their lowest contract this year is $900,000, just shy of $1 million. Again, folks, I want to paint this picture for you because the Angels spend a ton of money and the Rays don't spend as much. I want to play this reality game for you. Most people will not see $1 million cumulatively in their lifetime. They could work for 50 years and not see $1 million. The lowest paid player on the Tampa Bay Rays that don't pay their players a lot of money is making $900,000. I want you to live in that world for a minute. So even the Rays are paying every single one of their players $1 million this year, except for one guy who's making $900,000. Get it done, owners. Nobody feels bad for you. By the way, PJ, I don't think the Tampa Bay Rays are going, hey, if the Angels charge $47 for a hot dog, let's charge $1 for a hot dog. I don't think that's happening. I'm sure the Rays are still charging fine price for their parking and their hot dogs and their burgers and all that stuff. So, I mean, the reality of it all to me is this owner might spend more than that owner, but at the end of the day, they're paying out a ton of money. The players are making a ton of money. I don't understand why we can't find a way to get it done. And you know what? I mean, my reality to me is when I go to a baseball game, it's already in my brain. I'm not eating. I'm not eating and I'm not drinking. I'm eating before the game and I'm eating after the game. Because I brought my dad to a Yankees game, and that was over 5 years ago. And I can tell you that the Philly cheesesteak was almost $20 at a baseball game. If I want a $20 cheesesteak, I'll go to Philadelphia and I'll get it from one of the places that knows how to make it. I'm not buying a cheesesteak from a stadium. And the thing is, it wasn't even a restaurant. It was a cart. So you want me to get a $20 cheesesteak from a cart? I mean, that guy's cooking on the cart in that little tiny stove? No, thank you. I mean, that's like asking me to get a cheesesteak from a guy who's making a cheesesteak in the kitchen of his RV. I'm not paying you $20 for that. You can give me that cheesesteak, but for what you pay to park at Yankee Stadium, come in there, get tickets to the game, and sit in nosebleed section, the cheesesteak should come with the parking, is what I'm going to say.
That's why you tailgate, Daniel.
Yeah, that's why.
You tailgate. You have fun. You make your own hamburgers. You drink a beer or something like that, and then you go in and watch a ball game. By the way, you go into Milwaukee, it costs you $20 a park on top of the tickets that you got to pay. Have fun with Ross.
Yeah, it's crazy. So, PJ, a lot of conversation, a lot of things to break down, a lot of things to get done, and a lot of rich people fighting over being rich. So, as always, I appreciate your time. I look forward to talking with you soon. My continued prayers to little Miss Lily, and I love you all.
Okay, fine. I'll be listening too.
All right, take care. That coming from PJ. We're going to take a step aside for a fast break. When we spin back around on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, Ross joins us for hour number 2 to give his thoughts on Major League Baseball's lockout and the future of the sport of baseball at the highest level. Ross comes with us next from the Keystone State after we had PJ join us from the Sunshine State. Now, Greg said, I get that the other 3 big sports are not in a strike, but professional athlete salaries are large in comparison to the average blue-collar worker. That ain't changing anytime soon. No, it's not. I just want people to understand. That's all I'm saying, Greg. I want people to understand that if I'm a player and I'm going, I'm only making $900,000, I would say, okay, well, you're going to make that in less than a year, and most people will never see that in their life. You know, that to me, I understand that you want fairness, and when you're dealing with millions and billions of dollars, you want things to be broken down in a fair way, but the fans are the ones that suffer. The fans that'll never see $900,000, they're the ones that suffer. So when we hear people complaining about $900,000 contracts, it gets old really quick with the mom and dad that are trying to bring their 3 kids to a game and they can't figure out a way to afford to go to one game one time a season. It's not fair. It's not okay. It's not right, and I don't appreciate it. I don't respect it, and I'm against it. So these owners need to stop saying it's about the fans, and the players need to stop saying it's about the fans. Because with 91 games off the schedule, it's literally not about the fans. It's not. So stop saying it is. We'll take a step aside for a fast break, and we'll be back with Ross right after this. Avicoli's, located on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, has been your trusted neighbor for decades. Located just steps from Liverpool High School, we're happy to have the Liverpool Warriors on-site, on-location broadcast at Avicoli's through Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora every single month, featuring student athletes, coaches, and administration throughout the year from Liverpool High School. Head out to Avicoli's today on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, open Tuesday through Sunday for lunch, dinner, and drinks. We'd love to see you out there. And of course, you can call them at 315-622-5100 for takeout, delivery, and catering. That's 315-622-5100. And also find them on myavicolis.com. That's myavicollis.com. Having peace of mind when you're out of town that your furry-loving friend is safe and sound means taking them to Canine Campground, because we all know that when it comes to the love of our pets, it goes well beyond the call of duty to make sure they're safe and sound. Right, Lily? So take a ride to 242 Johnson Street in East Syracuse, New York, and see Canine Campground and where your dog will be staying, in the classic cabin, the executive cabin, the grand cabin, or of course the luxury cabin, because if you know Lily, you know she loves luxury. Now you don't have to wait to the last minute to find a family member or a friend that'll take your dog for a few days. Call Canine Campground at 315-299-4013. That's 315-299-4013. Their drop-off and pickup times are Monday through Sunday. Check K9campground.com for more information. That's the letter K, the number 9, and campground spelled with a K.com. K9campground.com.
When you're going out of town, bring your dog to Canine Campground.
PB&J's Lunchbox, the food truck that you love finding all throughout Central and Upstate New York, now has a street-side cafe. So when you're craving their traditional favorites as well as their out-of-box amazing menu items, you can now head to 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York. Located just minutes from the highway, the Thruway, Destiny USA, and Onondaga Lake Parkway, PB&J's Lunchbox Street-Side Cafe is there for you Monday through Saturday from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m., serving breakfast, lunch, and dinner all throughout the day. Get breakfast for dinner, dinner for lunch, whatever you fancy, including their award-winning grilled peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Find them at 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York. PB&J's Lunchbox, where we love to know what's in your lunchbox. As a patient, what do we want? To be cared for, to be listened to, and to have someone walk us through the process on our path to victory. Victory Sports Medicine and Orthopedics does all of those things beautifully, with Dr. Mark Petropoli leading the team on 791 West Genesee Street in Skaneateles, New York, located minutes from beautiful Skaneateles Lake. Whatever your injury may be from head to toe, preventative care, rehab, physical therapy, laser therapy, and surgery are all available at Victory Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, where they care about us, they listen to us, and they understand that everyone's path to victory is a little bit different. Let them help you on yours by calling 315-685-7544 to make your appointment today. That's 315-685-7544. And find out more information at victorysportsmedicine.com.
Cafe Cabal offers same-day local delivery of our products, offering no delivery charge for Onondaga County. Shop cafecabal.com for fresh roasted coffee beans, cold brew, travel mugs, and all your essential Cafe Cabal needs. Cafe Cabal, coffee for the soul.
This is Amy from Mother's Cupboard, home of the whole frittata. We are open daily 6 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. For takeout orders, call 315-432-0942 and tune in to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora for our monthly food challenge and try our Wake Up Call signature menu item available 7 days a week. Here at Mother's Cupboard, we are Central New York, and it's our honor to serve you.
Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory remind us that every day is worth celebrating. Find them at 201 Old 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York, open Monday through Saturday in-store and all the time online at maandpaspopcorn.com. Serving our Central New York community and beyond, you can order all throughout the country at maandpaspopcorn.com. And remember to get your tins, which have in-store half-price refills forever. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory, available to you for fundraising and all of your events by calling 315-450-6272. That's 315-450-6272. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory. How corny are you? Millhouse Market here on 3790 New York 13 in Pulaski, New York is worth the drive every time. Make your way over to the Millhouse Market every Tuesday through Sunday for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. You can grab their awesome breakfast, including their breakfast pizzas, and of course you can get their brick oven pizzas and all their specialty ones that I love so very much. The margarita pizza is fantastic with the balsamic glaze. My favorite is a cross between the breakfast pizza and probably there's like a honey sweet hot pizza called the bee sting. It's really good. So you got to get out to the Millhouse Market today. The meatball sandwich is fantastic. The Cobb salad is good. All the desserts are good. M&M cookies are fantastic. Literally, seriously, folks, when I talk about the Millhouse Market, I get hungrier and hungrier. I want someone to go grab me Millhouse right now while I'm sitting in the studio. So make sure you head out there Tuesday through Sunday. You can download their app on the Google Play or Apple App Store. And when you have that at your fingertips, you can look at their entire menu. Once you order your food, you can also go to the directions and you can type in your address where you are and it'll direct you directly to the Millhouse Market. And that makes it so easy, so simple. There's a drive-through pickup window to grab your food and go. There's an indoor dining bistro menu that changes every single week. And there's a general store where they have local products from local companies where Millhouse is not only local themselves, but they pay it forward by helping out local businesses in the area. So definitely make your way to the Millhouse Market as we continue to support local and central and upstate New York. Worth the drive every time to 3790 New York 13 in Pulaski, New York. With that being said, back here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside the Cafe Kubal studios. Hello, folks. As I continue to be on the mend, trying to feel better here. I appreciate y'all hanging out with us where sports meets that thing called life, and I thank you so much for being a part of the show here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of these Cafe Kubal studios. Cafe Kubal there for you on 3501 James Street and 401 South Salina Street, both in Syracuse, inside of Golisano's Children's Hospital in downtown Syracuse, and on the corner of Route 11 and Taft Road in North Syracuse at Sweetheart Corners in their drive-thru location, and of course at 343 Fayette Street in Manlius, New York. And Cafe Kubal coffee being sold right now on site on location at 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York, with my signature nachos at PB&J's Lunchbox. So make sure you head out there today. With that being said, Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora is continuing the conversation on Major League Baseball's lockout and the future of baseball with Ross Turetsky from Northeast Pennsylvania. Joins us from the Keystone State. PJ came from the Sunshine State, and now we have Ross from the Keystone State, a writer and a broadcaster of many, many years and a Marywood University alum, as I am as well, is here with us on the show right now to talk about baseball, which he loves so very much. Mr. Turetsky, how are we doing?
I'm doing well. I hope you're feeling better, buddy. And I know it's a tough break, and you're going to heal up, and good things ahead. We're almost in spring. We're in March Madness, college basketball. Get those brackets out ready. I can't wait. Coronavirus is a little bit more under control now, so things are starting to open up and be back to normal again. So that's a little exciting. And St. Patrick's Day, the big parade in Scranton's coming up nearby where I live, so people are going to go nuts for that and just have a good time out there. It's going to be warmer out there, but the thing that I'm most disappointed about is when it's warmer like this, I get that itch that has never went away since I was about 5-6 years old when I fell in love with the great game of baseball, our national pastime. And of course, this time around, there's no spring training, and I have this great void that there's going to be no Major League Baseball for possibly the foreseeable future after the nonsense that happened where it looked like we had a deal late Monday night to Tuesday morning, and just like that, they extended the deadline from Monday, February 28th to March 1st at 5 p.m., and then with a snap of a finger, it went away, and we've now going to at least miss the first week of the season, at least the first 2 series of the season, so at least 6 games, and that breaks my heart. The only thing that's kind of decent about I will get a little bit of a baseball fix that I get to cover college baseball for Penn State Scranton. Yeah. So high school, college baseball, Little League baseball. I'm going to coach my little daughter again, Lorelai, in our T-ball league in Dallas, Pennsylvania. So I'm looking forward to that. And AAA baseball, minor league baseball will not be affected. So your Syracuse Mets nearby, my Rail Riders in Scranton, Wilkes-Barre Rail Riders, Yankees AAA team. They will start up. April 5th is opening day. April 12th is our Rail Rider home opener. So at least got that to look forward to. But I have a very bad feeling that we will not be seeing Major League Baseball for the foreseeable future. And it's heartbreaking. And, it's going to turn more and more into obscurity baseball for all the young generations who, don't truly, necessarily have a bond to this game like we did growing up and generations before us did. So if you want baseball to die into obscurity, our once national pastime, which has now basically become the NFL, not baseball anymore, it's what's going to happen. And it's sad. And, I couldn't believe what I saw because I was actually up late. As an insane sick baseball fan, they called it baseball Twitter. That was the hashtag that was going around Monday night. I kept refreshing my phone nonstop, getting updates that they walked across. It was ridiculous. They had the base players huddled up in one corner of that stadium, Roger Dean Stadium in Florida, in Jupiter, Florida, and then the owners, they were in the other corner negotiating the corner. And they better have good soft soles and comfy soles on their shoes because they kept walking back and forth, passing proposals. And they made it seem like, trying to get that deadline by February 28th. They went into the wee hours of the morning, 12, 1 a.m. They didn't stop till about 2 a.m. I was a sicko, I admit. I kept refreshing my phone. I didn't go to bed till like 2:30 in the morning. And then I started to get up like 3 hours later with my son, LJ. He's usually ready to party before 5 a.m. But I wanted to see that, we're going to have an agreement. So when I went to bed and then woke up about 3 hours later, they made it seem like a deal was pretty much a short thing. They just had to cross the I's and dot the T's and whatever it is the next morning. And then they had till 5 p.m. And then it just all went by the wayside. Something changed. Someone either got in the ears of the players, whether it be the agents. There were people saying that Scott Boras, a powerful baseball agent, maybe told the players, pump the brakes a little bit. We maybe need to get a little bit more in this deal. The owners might have, in the end, they made some, like the players said that they try to throw in a few additional things and try to find little things to sneak into the deal at the last minute. Either way, both sides decided no dice, and that was their best and final offer at 5 p.m., and the players said no. So we're left in this holding pattern, and I don't know what to think. The only thing that's somewhat optimistic, the players aren't meeting today, but the lead negotiators for the Players Union and the Major League Baseball owners, they are going to meet and have an informal chat in New York City. They've left Florida after being there for like 10 days in a row. And they're going to have a chat and see, because it seemed like they were close to a deal. Maybe that some of that framework is still in place, and maybe they can get back to business. But we don't know. Right now, it's just a conversation in New York between the two lead negotiators, and maybe that could do something. But for now, there's no guarantee when the players are going to start getting back into the room with those owners, and we can have a deal, because it's March 3rd. March 31st, opening day is gone. That would have been 4 weeks from today. Yeah. And now you got to hope that just maybe before the month of April, before the first month of the season is over, we have baseball, because the players are pretty convinced that the owners, especially what they call the poor owners, small market owners, which they're all billionaires, by the way, the owners. I know.
I want to know what a poor billionaire looks like.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Because I know, like, the Pittsburgh Pirates and Kansas City Royals, the owners maybe have less assets and money than the Yankees and the Dodgers and the Red Sox owners. But they're all billionaires, the owners. So they're crying poor, and it's ridiculous because they still have an insane amount of money. But the players are convinced that the owners at least want to be able to drag this out and try to win the battle of, the PR battle with what the media thinks, what the fans think, blame it on the players for being greedy. Players are blaming on the owners for being greedy. That they basically don't care that if we go a month without baseball, because in April, especially being in Northeast, in the Northeast, me being Pennsylvania, you being upstate New York, it's snowy, it's cold the first month of the season. It's downright frigid. It's not really comfortable to watch baseball unless you're an insane sicko baseball fan like myself. So that they're convinced that these owners, they don't really care about it, and they're not going to get serious until May, until it gets warmer, and then they want to make a deal. But for the first month of the season, they can kind of be cheap, and they can save money, not have to pay the players for during these games. And it's another problem. The players are going to want this money back. They're going to be like Jerry Maguire, show me the money. They're going to want this money back, and the owners are going to like, no, we don't have a deal. We don't have to pay you for games that aren't to be played. They claim these games are straight up canceled, and it's just a week right now, first 6 games. If there's no progress, we're going to have more and more of these depressing press conferences where they cancel more and more games. They're going to say that you're not getting paid because you didn't play these games, and the players are going to get more and more infuriated because they're going to want at least a portion, prorated amount of the money that they lost, or they're going to want to say, let's make up these games with double headers. We want to play because we want the money. So it's all going to be greedy, and it's all about show me the money at this point. So it's disgusting, and it's just heartbreaking as a baseball fan.
Yeah, and there's been different things that have been said here. Chicago Cubs pitcher Marcus Stroman said Manfred got to go on his Twitter account. We also saw Michael Lorenzen, who I mentioned about the Angels, who makes good money. I said, quote, have no clue how he has the ability to laugh about anything right now. Mind is blown. And that was allegedly an Associated Press photographer this past Tuesday had a picture of Rob Manfred practicing his golf swing. And then people thought that it was wrong that Manfred was laughing with reporters at his news conference about the cancellation.
That infuriated me. When I saw that press conference, I was at my daughter's dance class. My phone was about to die. I didn't have enough battery on it, but I was trying to get the updates before the 5 p.m. deadline. And then I see the smirk on his face during the press conference. I'm like, what the heck are you smiling about? You should be gravely sad that I have to come up here and cancel games of baseball season, and you're like laughing like it's no big deal, and then you're practicing your golf swing because like, oh, no matter what, I'm a rich dude. I don't care. It's just ridiculous, the privilege and the audacity. When baseball fans are, and a lot of the players too, there are some players who probably just in it for the money. They're making a ton. It's a business. But there's a lot of players who live and die with every pitch, and their career is not limitless. They have at best, a lot of players are lucky to play 3 years. It's not as demanding physically as football, but they maybe play 10 to 20 years if you're the great players. Still, it's a small percentage of your life. You're living and dying with every play. Most players, besides the few that don't care as much, just want the paycheck, they live and die with it. And the fans live and die with every pitch. And it's heartbreaking. and it destroys us. And then we see the commissioner of baseball, who's basically the talking mouthpiece for the owners, because it's not all Rob Manfred's fault, because he has to do what the owners want. Because if he doesn't do what the owners want, the owners fire him. He basically represents the owners. He represents Major League Baseball. Him, Roger Goodell, Gary Bettman, Adam Silver in basketball, they're all figureheads for the owners. But it seems so smug for him laughing and smiling, having a good time, and then practicing your golf. So what are you doing? This is an embarrassment, sad, despicable display for baseball, for your sport that is dying, especially with the youth of America. And it seems like you don't care. The other thing that annoys me about Rob Manfred, and he's been a negotiator for years before he became commissioner of baseball, before he replaced Bud Selig, the longtime commissioner of baseball. Even during the Astros cheating scandal with the sign steal and all that, he didn't punish really anyone. Some of the owners, the owners fired their managers, and then the Red Sox ended up rehiring their manager after firing for a year. And the other owner, the former manager of the Astros, got a job as Detroit Tigers manager the next year. So it was a slap at the wrist. They lost some draft picks. They got fined a little bit, but none of the players got suspended. None of the players got fined. They all got immunity to tell their side of the story. They get booed now, the Astro players who were part of the scandal. And then when they were asking them, like, why do you not make it a bigger deal about what the Astros did? Would you take away their World Series title from 2017 when they beat the Dodgers by cheating, by knowing what pitches were coming? It ruins the integrity of baseball, just like we talked about with steroids in baseball, why you're not letting Barry Bonds or Roger Clemens in the Hall of Fame. And he had the audacity, never mind the smile you saw the other day at the press conference to cancel games. He said it's just a piece of metal, the World Series trophy. Are you kidding me? Yeah, maybe literally it's a piece of metal. It means so much to those players, and it means so much to the fans of those fan bases, the Dodger fans, who they got a World Series title ripped away from them in Game 7 because they lost to a team that cheated. And you're going to say, the leader of baseball is going to say it's just a piece of metal, no big deal. Are you kidding me? And then you're smiling at that press conference. It irritates me. And I think deep down there's a few owners who care about it. I think deep down a lot of owners and a lot of those quote-unquote small market owners who are billionaires, by the way, they don't truly care. They just want to make profit after profit, and they don't care about the game. They don't care about the game dying. They don't care if they have to lose a whole season, because to them it's no big deal. They get to save money and make more of a profit. Because remember, there is revenue sharing in baseball. The Yankees, Red Sox, Dodgers, the Mets, who make all this big money, they have to share a lot of their profits with these small market teams. And there's no guarantee that they're going to put the money back into their on the field to have a talented roster, have a chance to win. These owners who claim they're poor and they have no chance to win, they allow them to take the money, pocket it, and then say, I don't know why we can't win. They just want to make record profits. Meanwhile, the Yankees actually say they a lot of times lose money, which I don't necessarily buy that, but they claim they'll lose money from time to time because they put
let's remember. There's a lot of big name companies, I'll leave unnamed, that didn't have to pay taxes over the last couple of years because they claim that they lost a profit. So
yeah. And then, everyone says they're poor and the owners are struggling. The Atlanta Braves that came out, who just won the World Series this year, they made a ton of profits. A lot of teams, they took a hit with the pandemic year in 2020 with baseball. They had no fans in the stands, lost a lot of money. They're still making, and right before that, up through 2019, before the pandemic, we're making record revenue, and they're claiming. Manfred claimed in his press conference, where he boldface lied. He said that, we've been losing money the last 5 years. That's not true. They started to lose some money in 2020 and started to get a little bit better in 2021 when the fans got in. At first, it was a percentage of fans could come in, and now everyone's allowed in. Most of the mandates and protocols have been lifted with the pandemic getting better, but they've not been losing money for the last 5 years. They've been making record profits, and it's starting to get high again, and they still are making tons of money. These big market teams are still making a lot of money, and they claim they're losing money. And then all you have to see is one of our childhood idols, my favorite player of all time, Derek Jeter, who's the epitome of winning, the captain of the Yankees, who won 5 World Series titles and is always synonymous with winning. He just abruptly left the Miami Marlins earlier this week when you thought there was going to be a deal in place for the owners and the players, because he was sick of it. He said that the Marlins basically didn't share his vision of trying to win. That they basically, because, the revenue sharing, they get a lot of money from the big market teams. And it seems like they just want to pocket the money, because the Marlins were improving. They finally made the playoffs in the shortened 60-game pandemic season of 2020, broke their 17-year playoff drought, and now it seems like they don't want to spend more money to get over the hump. Derek Jeter basically told people that the Marlins ownership lied to him. that they said that they were going to now, after making the playoffs that 1 year, we're going to try to keep elevating the payroll, become more competitive, and we were going to go for this and try to actually win a championship, be a contender. And then they're like, no, thank you. When Derek Jeter's like, can we add more payroll? Can we add more players? And it supposedly was over a squabble of adding $10-15 million to payroll. And they told Derek Jeter, who's one of the great, faces of baseball, you would want him to run your organization. He's doing a great job. And they're like, no, it's okay. You can take a hike. I just thought that was a troubling sign when you thought there might be a deal this week when Derek Jeter was sick and tired of his own ownership and said, I can't be the CEO and basically be a figurehead to a team that just doesn't care about winning. They don't mind losing. As long as they get money at the end of the year and get that extra revenue, they're willing to pocket it, and it's just criminal. So the players are not fully innocent here. The owners aren't fully innocent here. But if I had to put more of a blame, I'm putting it on the owners because the owners just seem greedy and they just care about profits, and they don't care. I think a lot of them wouldn't mind if they put replacement players. Minor league players got to play, and they could pay them almost nothing because deep down, the big league players to them, they think are expendable. And it's also annoying. I know it's sick, crazy, sick money, but the league minimum right now for baseball is only $570,000. I know, only. That's a lot of money for us. It's crazy. But compared to the other major sports, like say the quote four major sports, which baseball in the near future might cease to become one of those, might cease to remain one of the four major sports. They used to be the main sport, and then football overtook it. But both football, basketball, and hockey, all their minimum salaries are way more than Major League Baseball. So salaries are, and those the highest salaries are insanely crazy, and they're guaranteed contracts unlike pro football. So they do make a crazy amount of money. But the salaries as a whole have been going down. Almost 70% of the players make league minimum, and their league minimum is the lowest of all the major sports. So that's another thing that the players are fighting for. Max Scherzer, who's leading the negotiations, he's 38 years old. He's going to be a Hall of Famer. Now signed a big contract with the Mets to make $43 million a year. It's insane. But he's willing to miss games, and I think they said he would lose $232,000 a day. And then Garrett Cole of the Yankees, the stud pitcher, would lose $197,000 a day when the regular season starts and there's no games. They're willing to lose that salary because it seems actually like it's for the greater good because they actually are willing to hold out until they raise the minimum salary for the young players and that they make it more fair and they allow you to become an arbitration eligible at a younger age to make big bucks. So, they're both at fault. It's disgusting, the billionaires versus millionaires. I still have to say the owners are more at fault here. The owners are just greedy, and a lot of them don't care about winning.
And it is. It's difficult. It's difficult to look at this and see this. And like you said, a lot of people at fault here, but the owners are making a ton of money. I did this just for fun because I was having this conversation with Papa Joe in the first hour. And this is back in 2019, folks. So obviously, I can imagine these may have risen. But the price of a beer at a Major League Baseball park in 2019, okay?
It's criminal.
The lowest one, and it must be because the air is different, so you get drunker faster. The Colorado Rockies was $3 in 2019. The Orioles, the Diamondbacks, and the Royals were $4. The Brewers, the Braves, the Twins, the Indians, the Rays, the Tigers, the Cardinals, the Angels, the Marlins, and the Mariners were $5 a beer. The Blue Jays were $5.63. Major League Baseball average was $5.97. And then half the league was above the average. The Rangers, the Pirates, the Yankees, the Athletics, the Padres, the Phillies were all $6 a beer. The Dodgers were $6.25 a beer. Reds were $6.50. Astros were $6.50. The White Sox were $7. The Giants were $8.25. The Red Sox were $8.50. The Nationals were $9. The Cubs were $9.50. And the New York Mets charge $11 a beer. And that was 3 years ago.
Yeah.
So the fans end up paying for it, and I've never been more prouder than the fact that I don't drink.
Well, yeah, I see people who. There's no way they're all like rich millionaires at these games. Some of these people, because some of these fans are in the upper deck, even the cheap seats, and somehow they're able to afford. Like you see them line up on the ground or by their seats. They have like 12 or 13 Bud Light beer cans lined up, and I'm like, do you know how much of a fortune they must have spent just on beer alone? Never mind if they buy the $9 hot dogs or whatever it is, the ice cream, the popcorn. that Cracker Jacks. It's astronomical. And then if you have a family, you're not going by yourself. It's crazy because between tickets for the actual seats to get your butts in there, then for the food, merchandise. If you have a kid, you have to buy that little rally monkey doll that they play with once and then gets thrown out in the garbage, or it's stuck in the gutter with little fuzz balls by the laundry machine. Like, you're overpaying for all the merchandise, then the food, the drinks. It's insane. And I'm like, this is not even just the people who are sitting right behind home plate and by the dugout, who are probably on the more wealthy side. People in the upper deck, some of them are down in 12 beers at a time. And some of those beers are like $12, $13 each. How are you paying for this? I'm like, I don't know how they're doing it. I'm not, lucky I don't drink too much, so I don't have to do it. But I know I've paid for the food for my kids, keep them entertained, walk around the concourse so they don't get bored because they're only 2 and almost 5. And then I have to buy them all these, dolls and merchandise throughout, the jerseys, the hats, the pennants, and all that. I just don't understand. The families were struggling, and they plan these trips, whether it be spring training that's probably going to get canceled, and then the regular season games, they put all their funds to just go to a game or two. If you're lucky in the big leagues, you can go to 1 or 2 games a year if you're lucky, and you put all that money in, and then the owners, they don't care. They're pocketing the money. Never mind the tickets are, could be pretty pricey. It's just they make a fortune on the merchandise, make a fortune on the food, and then in the end, some of these owners don't even care enough to win, don't care enough, we said that last week or the other week when we were on the show together, when we had the fear that this was watching an ongoing train derailment, that they were going to crash and we were basically the rubberneckers about to see it, that we knew they were heading for disaster when they had that battle over that 60-game season during a pandemic when people were struggling, and they didn't seem to care. You knew bad things were going to happen. You knew once the 2021 season was over, they would go to war against each other. And it doesn't matter that a lot of the world is a mess. There's a war with Russia and Ukraine and all that craziness. They're still fighting over these petty arguments, and there are people who live and die with every pitch. There are people who struggle to 1 game a year, and in the end, these owners and the players make record profits, and they can't find a way to divvy out the money and make it make sense because basically they're outpricing themselves for the average fan, for families who want to go together. And I can go to a Rail Rider minor league baseball game a lot cheaper, and it's a lot more affordable and kind of fun because they have fun things in between innings with the mascots and the people on the field. It's basically become where I can only go to minor league baseball games. A diehard baseball fan is not going to be able to go to the big league games. Then you're just going to get corporate people who don't really care to be there, and at best they'll give some light golf class. Where's the home field advantage of that if you don't have fans who are cheering and going crazy with every pitch and every big hit? You lose the excitement of that. I'll be honest, as a Yankee fan, I think a lot of the new Yankee Stadium, at times it gets very loud, but there are times where it's just a lot of very wealthy people who are there who they seem to price out the average fan. And then you can sometimes hear a pin drop there, even in a big game, where you can't hear any noise. And you're like, I think a lot of the true fans, they just can't be there. They have to watch it on TV. And now, I think also the owners are banking on, they're like, the owners and players are like, basically, you'll come back to us. That whenever we come out with a deal, whether it's now or it's 6 months from now, or if we save the season, we have another cheap 60-game season, you'll come back. Basically, like they're, unfortunately, the battered spouse, that they figured no matter what we do to you, you'll come back to us. And I think it's disgusting that they take the fans for granted, because I would love fans to stand up and say, when you do come back, we're not going to the games, we're not watching, we're not buying your merchandise, we're not buying your $13 beers. But I think in the end, a lot of fans who truly love it, maybe the casual fan might not come back, they will come back, and I think they take the owners, players take these fans for granted, and it's sickening because these fans, they're dying right now, but they're like, it doesn't matter. We don't need to rush to a deal and compromise and actually make sense when we're going through all this craziness in our world, because no matter what we do to you, no matter how many times we step on you, you'll come back to us. And I think that's disgusting.
It is. And let me enlighten some people, since I gave you beer prices. Let me enlighten you a little bit about some things here. Back in 2018, now this is 2018 numbers, 4 years ago, the cheapest place to get a hot dog was Baltimore Orioles Oriole Park at Camden Yards. It was $1.50. Now, mind you, if 30,000 fans show up, that's still $30,000 for the owner and the team to figure out what he's going to do with it, the front office, yada yada. Now, the most expensive he or she's going to do with that $30,000. The most expensive place to get a hot dog in 2018, Washington Nationals $5.50, Kansas City Royals $5.75, Seattle Mariners $6, San Francisco Giants $6.25, and coming in first, they never come in first for anything else, but coming in first again, the $11 beer people, your New York Mets charged $6.50 for a hot dog 4 years ago. And if anyone's ever eaten a hot dog, you know that $6.50 for something that may or may not be meat is probably not great. Now, I will tell you this, back in 2018, looking at the total amount of money you would spend at a game. Now, this is not including parking. So, the Arizona Diamondbacks, shout out to my favorite team wearing the shirt right now, the cheapest that you could go to any of the 30 franchises back in 2018 was the Diamondbacks. Your ticket, $19.65. Your hot dog, $4. Your beer, $4, for a total of $26.65. And then you would also obviously have to figure out parking. Now, back 4 years ago, Boston Red Sox. For a ticket, a hot dog, and a beer, you were spending over $70 just to get in there 4 years ago. Now let me throw this at you, folks, because when the owners and the players are fighting, the fans are the ones that suffer. Let me prove my point. From 2006 to 2021, there's been a steady increase in the average ticket price to go to a game. This is from Statistica. I'm imagining that they're taking all of the teams in here and throwing this together. Now, this is an average ticket price of Major League Baseball from 2006, to 2021. Now, in 2006, an average ticket price to go to a baseball game for Major League Baseball was $22.21. It rose to $22.77, $25.43, $26.64, $26.74 because they needed that 10 cents. $26.91 because they needed that from there they needed to increase it and they needed that 17 cents. Then $26.98 because they needed the 7 cents. $27.48, $27.93, $29.94, $31 in 2016, $32.44, $32.99, $34.04, $34.21. The average ticket for a baseball fan to go to a game has increased every single year for the last 15 years. And if you go back 15 years, your ticket over 15 years has now risen more than $10.
It's ridiculous. And then just think about, and they might, change this with the new collective bargaining or whenever they come to an agreement, maybe in another 10 years, who knows? Maybe my son will be shaven by the time they agree. But they were even charging you same price when Rob Manfred, the commissioner, the last couple of years, and they claimed it was COVID-related, made the doubleheader 7-inning games. So you could then have spent all this money, and even for like a rescheduled game, you paid all this money to watch a full 9-inning baseball game. Once in a while it goes to extra innings, and you get free baseball. Yeah. You could be spending that for a shortened 7-inning game, which is ridiculous, and they don't give you any money back. There's no coupon price, discount price. So in the end, it's whatever the owners can do to squeeze out more money out of the fans. And it's just disgusting that to watch that, because I feel like they don't truly care about us, and we care about it more than we should, and we care about this lockout more than they do. And I think in the end, it's generally the fans who get hurt here, because I know the players, they're trying to do the right thing by the young players and try to get them more money, and I can respect that. And I think there's some owners out there who really want to play, but especially for the owners and the players who are holding out for the best deal they could possibly make and trying to kind of screw over the other side, and those, what you could say, quote unquote, again, small market billionaire owners, the ones that are crying poor, there's about maybe 6 or 7 of them probably. They probably have a louder voice in that room during negotiations than the marquee franchises like the Yankees, the Red Sox, the Dodgers, the Astros, the Braves. And why should just a few of these owners who are very wealthy, making great money, and basically stealing the revenue shared money for themselves, why should they have more of a say and be able to hold up this deal and screw over the fans? I just think it's disgusting in every way. And as you said, the prices have gone up for everything. And what have we got in return as a fan? We get, pushed aside, laughed at for caring us so much, and then basically we get shortened games. We at times get a crappy product on the field. You have teams that are out of the pennant race by Memorial Day. By 2 months into the season, they're done, and you have to pay the same price to watch a garbage team as you would a good team. and you do this over and over again. And then, you had a shortened season where we couldn't go in 2020, and now we're probably gonna have another shortened season again at best. I hope they don't lose the whole season. I would assume at some point someone's gonna give in. But during this power struggle, what are we going to get? Half a season? That's going to be a baseball season for us. And then we have to wait again for another full season. And then what is this deal at best going to be for another 5 years? And then 5 years from now, we have the same battle and we have to possibly lose baseball again. I think it's ridiculous that maybe every 5 years, a baseball fan is going to have to play Russian roulette with their favorite teams in the sport they love. And it's going to be like a gun pointed at their head because we don't know if we're going to have a 162-game season, we're going to have a 60-game season, a 100-game season. You never know from year to year. And either way, they had the nerve, the Yankees, the other day to call me up about trying to get tickets, season tickets, and going to see Paul O'Neill's number 21 get retired on August 21st. And what I flat out told him is, are we even going to have a season? Are we going to have a game to go to? Why are you having the nerve to sell me tickets when there's no baseball and no baseball on the horizon for the foreseeable future? So they're still pumping in, selling tickets, selling merchandise, trying to have you commit to a product that they can't even guarantee you is going to be played this season. I just think it's idiotic. So I think for the time being, I'm going to watch it. I'm going to follow it a little bit on my Twitter page. I'm going to refresh it from time to time when they have a meeting, see if anything has happened. But I'm going to try not to be as disgusted because it's breaking my heart. I'm just going to look forward to college baseball, Little League baseball to coach my daughter, and to watch my local AAA minor league baseball team. Because one way or another, they made it very clear, the minor league team, they're like, come watch us. We're not affected by this lockout. And in a month from now, I can go 30 minutes to Scranton and Montage Mount and check out some baseball because it would hurt me even more if there was no baseball to watch because I just need it. Because when you have an addiction, I admit this is an addiction. It's not healthy, but it's one of those things where I live and breathe baseball. It's one of those things I can't fully quit baseball. I just can't. I still play in summer beer leagues baseball with my brother, and I need to be involved. I still follow what Marywood Pacers are doing because that was my alma mater I played for. So I check out. There was a live stream when they beat Penn State Brandywine on February 20th on my phone. I was checking out. There was no audio, but I was just checking out in the background, and I could watch some of the footage on my phone. I'm in. I have a problem, but I need my baseball fix. I know it sounds like Tyrone Biggums from Chappelle's show, but I need my fix, and it's always healthier than what he was obsessed with. I need to watch baseball one capacity or another. I want my Major League Baseball back. I want to be able to watch the Yankees play. I want to be able to take my kids to see Aaron Judge and Giancarlo Stanton crush home runs in the Bronx as the Bronx Bombers come back in full force. But until there's that, I don't know. I feel like I have to let go a little bit, and it's breaking my heart to do that. But I'm going to stick to some minor league baseball because it's cheaper, it's a fun product, and a lot of those guys are going to become the future stars of tomorrow. And I can watch them down the road for cheap parking, cheaper food prices, cheaper merchandise, and much cheaper tickets. And my kids don't care what we're watching. They're having the time of their lives. They're having the Dippin' Dot $2 ice cream and getting to hug the local mascot, Champ, and they think it's the greatest thing ever. So I'm going to look forward to that because it's just sickening what's going on right now. And I really thought we had a deal in place the other day. And I can't believe that it was just taken away because I did a sports show from my car with my sleeping 2-year-old in the background when my daughter had school the other day. And I was like, it looks like we have a deal on Tuesday morning. And then I basically had to put a retraction on the bottom saying that I guess not. It was taken away from us. It was like the little fish. You got the hook. You're about to get it. At the last second, it just falls right off, and then someone pulls it right from under you. Or Charlie Brown they pull the football away from him, Lucy, and then he falls flat on his face. That's what I feel like baseball's done. They fall flat on their face. They've forgotten about what's important. And soon they are going to be coming after many people, and it's just sad because the average young kid is going to want to watch the mixed martial arts fight. Is going to want to watch NASCAR. Is going to want to watch soccer and the World Cup coming up. They're not going to care about a bunch of petty owners and players whether they play or not because it's going to be really bad when the season's supposed to happen. And there's going to be playoff hockey, playoff basketball, the NFL draft in April, and all that excitement and off-season moves with football. And baseball is going to be crickets. If they don't come to a deal soon, there'll be no free agency, no trades, no spring training, no regular season. During the heart of the year where they can have a stranglehold on the sports scene, instead of people going to care about football more during their off season, they're going to care about basketball, hockey playoffs, and baseball is going to be shut out of it. They'll have nothing to show, and they're doing it to themselves. They're shooting themselves in the foot. They're being the Plaxico Burress of the sports world right now.
Yeah, nothing like Rob Manfred going to a club wearing sweatpants and having a gun loaded in his pocket. But, look at
I feel like they do. I feel like they put a gun to their heads, play Russian roulette, and they don't really care what happens at this point because they are a torpedo in the sport.
If baseball had Russian roulette right now, Rob Manfred would have a bullet in every chamber in the gun because he doesn't know how to play Russian roulette. So, looking at this right...
With a smile on his face.
Yeah, smiling and practicing his golf swing. So, I want people to understand this, that back in 2019, 2 years ago, almost half of Major League Baseball charged almost $6 for a hot dog. Now, and the highest was the Nationals, $7, beating out the Mets and the Dodgers. Oh, shame, $6.75. Now, the fan cost index is something interesting. The fan cost index of Major League Baseball teams in 2021. Now, what this is it comprises the price of 4 average price tickets, 2 small draft beers. Now, small. Now, who gets a small? 4 small soft drinks, 4 regular size hot dogs, parking for 1 hour, 2 game programs, and 2 least expensive adult size adjustable caps. So this is a family fan cost index. In 2021, to go to 1 game, it cost Chicago Cubs fans an average of $376.49. Red Sox, $364.38. Astros, for a family of 4, $347.82. Now, this is Ross's family, mind you. New York Yankees, it cost you guys an average of $340.08 per game for you, Lorelai, LJ, and Abby to go to the game.
We went to 2 of the games this past year. We went right before Mother's Day in May, and we went October 2nd.
Yeah.
We went to 2 games, and it was a very costly endeavor.
So it cost you $700, not including travel and not including if you stay anywhere. Now, the Nationals, $338.53. Dodgers, $307.88. The Giants, $297.66. Rangers, $286.52. Phillies, for a family of 4, $268.24 per game. Cardinals, $259.65. Mariners, $257.85. The New York Mets, I guess these families didn't. I guess the hot dogs got. I don't know what happened. $255.28. White Sox, $253.25. The Major League average. I'll do that in a second. Orioles, $245.77. Indians, $244.50. The Braves, $242.96. The Athletics, family of 4, $240.78 to go to a game in 2021. The Brewers, $239.76. Twins, $229.14. The Royals, $225.26. Reds, $218.20. The Detroit Tigers, for a family of 4 in the fan cost index, $215.04. The Rockies, $213.63. Padres, $210.74. And then under $200 to go to a game, thank God. The Angels, which is hilarious because of what they charge, what they pay their players, $193.66. The Pirates, $183.86. The Rays, $179.86. The Marlins, $174.54. And my Diamondbacks, for a family of 4 to go to a game last year and to get, on average, 4 average price tickets, 2 small draft beers, 4 small soft drinks, 4 regular size hot dogs, parking for an hour, which the games are 3.5 hours, and 2 game programs and 2 of the least expensive hats that they have that are probably $30 a piece. It cost the average family last year $144.25 to go to a Diamondbacks game. So, the lowest it cost a family last year, not including travel or hotel stay, the lowest it cost a family to just go to the game. Like if they snapped their fingers and disappeared like Nightcrawler from their home and appeared at their seats, it costs $144.25 for the lowest last year for a family on average. And the highest, it cost almost $400 per game to go to a game for Chicago Cubs fans. The average in Major League Baseball to go to 1 game last year as a family was $253.
It's crazy. It's astronomical prices, and as I said, a lot of times you have to travel. For us to go to Yankee Stadium, it's about a 2.5 hour drive. We usually don't sleep over. We come back the same day, but you waste them, especially with what gas costs now with the crazy stuff with the oil prices. It's insane. It's a lot. It's a crazy amount of money. And the Pirates, you were saying that they're relatively low what they charge. They should be paying you to go to the games because that team is atrocious. They don't care about winning. They basically have minor leaguers on the field, and whenever they get good, the minor leaguers, they trade them away because they don't want to spend money. It's an embarrassment. And they once were a proud organization with Roberto Clemente and Barry Bonds, pre-steroids, and Willie Stargell. The Pirates cared about winning. They won World Series championships. And now they don't care if they win or lose because either way they make money and they're a trash team. It's an embarrassment. I feel bad for those Pirate fans because right across the street, the Pittsburgh Steelers have 6 Super Bowl titles, the most in football history, along with the New England Patriots, and they care about winning so much. The Pittsburgh Penguins win Stanley Cups year after year with Sidney Crosby and company, and before that, Mario Lemieux and Jaromir Jagr. So they have 2 great teams in the Penguins and the Steelers, and then right across the road is the Pirates, who have championship banners, who used to be a proud franchise, and they simply don't care anymore. They're willing to put trash on that field and expect you to pay money to go see it. And you were talking about the Angels. The Angels, they it's at least a little bit cheaper than some of the other organizations what it would cost to go to the game. But the Angels, they spend top dollar, these $20 million a year contracts, and then soon Shohei Ohtani, with all the great power hitting, the home runs, and the great pitching he does, like a young Babe Ruth, they're going to have to show him the money soon. Right now, he's getting paid pretty low amount of money. They have Mike Trout and all these big-time players. They're going to have to – they pay all this money for these guys, and the team is garbage. They don't make the playoffs almost every year. They're at home. They're out of the playoff race. And then you have the Tampa Bay Rays with doing their little money ball, a little engine that could, with the opening relief pitchers starting the games and saving money. And then usually they have to dump players and try to reload with young players who are cheap. The Rays make the playoffs year after year on contenders. The Angels and these other organizations, some of them who spend top dollar, they are garbage. So even with this revenue sharing and, worry about luxury tax, who's spending more money, some of these teams spend all the money and they're still trash. And then there are some teams that don't spend money and they're garbage as always. And there's some who do it the right way, get young players, have a good minor league system so they can replenish the big leagues with their minor league system when they outprice themselves and they can't afford these players anymore. And it's just ridiculous. And then the other thing I wanted to add, I was talking to you off air, is the players had a press conference right after Rob Manfred canceled those games. And they had all the leadership of the players union. They had the press conference. And, of course, they're all out of uniform. They're all basically in, Florida gear where they're having the meetings. They were in, cargo shorts, sandals, polo shirt, kind of wearing the dad bod outfits and all that. I'm a diehard baseball fan. Never mind people who just casually watch it. Besides Max Scherzer and Noah Syndergaard, because he has that long hair and looks like Thor, 90% of the people on that podium, I could not identify them. I didn't know who the heck they were.
Well, that's like the guys in the NBA that that have the bird contracts and all that stuff and the maxed out. There's guys in the NBA that have contracts that you do not know their name. You probably don't even know they play in the NBA, and they're making $40 million. It's insane.
Yeah, $30-40 million a year. It's disgusting. And so that's another big problem. But baseball, these guys, you couldn't pick them out of a lineup. And, maybe with their uniform, their name and number on the back, I can know who they are as a fan of the game. But I didn't know who most of those guys are. They're making crazy amount of money. And what about the average fan or the kid who out there who, especially they're not going to be playing games and they're just going to move on and watch the football, the basketball, the other sports that they rather watch, hockey, all these exciting stuff. And these other players are making crazy amounts of money and you can't even pick them out. You don't know who they are. If LeBron James walked down the street, I would know who he is. As a baseball fan, if the average guy walked down the street, Paul Goldschmidt, and that's not a made-up name, he used to play for your Diamondbacks, he's now a star player, first base for the St. Louis Cardinals. If he walked down the street, I'd have no idea who he was. I think his family would know who he was. I think that basically you couldn't pick him out of a lineup, whether he robbed a store or was your Uber driver. You would not know that he's a superstar baseball player making almost $30 million a year. And that's another problem with the sport, that they're losing fans. They're usually losing the young fan base. It's a slow-moving game. They're having shifts that take away a lot of hits, the shift defensive that they want to try to ban. It's at times it is, and I love the game. It's a smart game, and it's a lot of strategy, but at times it's a slow-moving, boring game for the young generation.
Well, you know what? I mean, the owners and the players are moving as slow as a typical game, so at least they're paralleling the game.
Absolutely. And it's just they're outpriced themselves. It's expensive. And, they're at a snail's pace, and they're constantly fighting each other. They're bickering. We don't know when they're going to play, when they're going to cancel games, cancel possible seasons. And then in the end, this one great game that was the top sport in the whole country is going down in flames. And as I said, you don't know who most of these players are. You would know when Aaron Rodgers walked down the street. You would know Tom Brady, who has a helmet on when he plays, walking down the street. LeBron James, you know that. Michael Jordan back in the day. But the average baseball player, even the superstar baseball player, majority of them, you would have no idea who the heck they were if they walked down the street. And that's a problem. You should be able to know the top-tier players, or even these guys who aren't top-tier players, who are making $20 million a year. To make that money, you should be a superstar, and you should be a recognizable face for at least baseball fans, and that's also a ridiculous thing. But the owners are greedy. Players, there's greed involved there, but I still side more with the players. I think the owners are being super greedy, and a lot of them don't care to win, and we're the ones to suffer. So I don't know, but I know I have to pick up my little daughter from school, and I want you to feel better and be on the mend and have a good weekend. And I'm glad you let me vent and be on my soapbox to talk about what baseball's doing to me, because it's killing me inside, and I just want baseball, and they're taking away from me, and I'm disgusted with the whole situation.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the reality that there's over 40 players currently in baseball that have $100 million contracts. So $253 to go to an average game is sickening. It's nuts. And all I know is I will never pay $6 for a hot dog because I will never completely know what's in it. So,
it's mystery, mate. It's like the McRib.
So with that being said, yeah, ribs shouldn't stretch. With that being said, Ross Turetsky, as always, sportscaster and writer, Northeast Pennsylvania. Ross, let everybody know how they can read your stuff really quick.
Basically, go on Ross Turetsky, Turetsky, ROSS for Ross. I'm not named after the Friends Ross. I was born before the show Friends. Some people ask me that silly question. But go on my Facebook page. I have DJ Roscoe Sports Show, where I do my sports show. My articles for Penn State Scranton, for Times Leader High School football, and basketball, baseball, soccer. I cover it all. And it's on my Facebook pages. And then also on Twitter, at @Turetsky is my Twitter handle. And I'm posting on YouTube. I have video interviews with these players and coaches. You can just type in Ross Turetsky, and it comes up under my videos. And just check it out. And then I get the honor of being with this great gentleman, Dan the Man, when I get to be on your show, and I very much look forward to it. You know, great buddy, great person, and the time flies by. So we were on for a little bit. It feels like 5 minutes, and I snap my fingers, and it's over already. So It's that quick, and it flows that nicely.
Yeah, no, it's great as always. So go pick up my little niche, and I look forward to talking with you soon. And as always, stay safe and stay well. Thank you for all your hard work, effort, and enthusiasm as always, and appreciate you, brother. And you know I'm sending my love to you all, so I look forward to talking with you soon.
Bring back baseball and enjoy the Batman this weekend.
That's one thing I will be doing. The Batman is back, so yay. That's one thing I will hopefully be able to do. So I look forward to talking with you soon, buddy.
All right, take care.
Take care. That coming from Ross Turetsky. Once again, where sports meets life on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. We'll take our final step aside of the show. I am wearing my Arizona Diamondbacks shirt that features the Avengers. And why am I doing that? Because I feel like maybe the only hope we have now is for the Avengers. But if Disney owns one more thing, then they pretty much own everything. So if they took over Major League Baseball, I don't know what that would mean for everybody. But mean a lot of good stuff for Disney. With that being said, we'll take a step aside. Maybe they'll put the games on Disney+. We'll take a step aside on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. And I'm looking around now. Now I said Disney, are there snipers? But we'll be back right after this fast break where sports meets life on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Stay with us.
Carvel DeWitt, it's what happy tastes like. Do you know why? Because we make ice cream. Creamy, rich, flavorful ice cream. Not yogurt or iced milk like some of our competitors. Ice cream. Fresh, by hand, daily. For the calorie conscious, we have something new for you. Our new Carvelite. Same great flavor, creaminess, and texture of our regular ice cream with only 35 calories an ounce. So whether you want an ice cream cake, flying saucer, dasher, carvalanche, hard or soft ice cream, we will satisfy your craving with our fresh, handmade regular or new Carvelite ice cream. Carvel DeWitt. It's what happy tastes like.
Cafe Cabal offers same-day local delivery of our products, offering no delivery charge for Onondaga County. Shop cafecabal.com for fresh roasted coffee beans, cold brew, travel mugs, and all your essential Cafe Cabal needs. Cafe Cabal, coffee for the soul.
The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is located on 3680 Milton Avenue in the Home Depot Plaza. It is your family-friendly sports bar and restaurant. Folks, some sports bars aren't family-friendly. Some family-friendly restaurants are not sports bars. The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is proud to be both. It is that marriage that you've been looking for years. The Wildcat Sports Pub is your home base for your sports bar and restaurant needs, games for the kids, indoor and outdoor activities, and enough things on the menu to come back every single week and get to try something new. They're open Sundays from noon to 8 p.m., Monday through Wednesday, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., and Thursday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to midnight. For reservations and party information, call 315-487-2222 for the Wildcat family-friendly sports pub and restaurant. Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora on wakeupcalldt.com, your one-stop sports shop, and on mixlr.com/wakeupcalldt. You're also watching and listening on facebook.com/wakeupcalldt, facebook.com/livenowdt, and on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. However you're connecting with the show, I thank you so much for being here and appreciate you so much. I cannot thank you enough for being a part of Wake Up Call. You can, of course, find us in the archives after the shows go live on MixLR and YouTube. You can also find us on iTunes and Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, iTunes, and Stitcher. And on Podbean, there's, I believe, 1,600 episodes you can listen to now by searching Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora or one word, Wake Up Call DT. Shout out to our Central and Upstate New York partners and beyond, Cafe Kubal, Carvel DeWitt, Wildcat Sports Pub, Avicoles, K9 Camp Dog Daycare, PB&J's Lunchbox, Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory, K9 Campground Dog Boarding, Honda City of Liverpool, Millhouse Market, Pizza Man, Victory Sports Medicine Orthopedics, Chick-fil-A Cicero and Chick-fil-A Clay, and Mother's Cupboard, as well as being the proud multimedia marketing partner of your Lemoyne Dolphins. Here it is, spins up every single Wednesday. We call with Dan Tortora from Dolphin Time, where you'll be able to listen in and watch the Dolphins every first and third Wednesday by featuring new episodes of AD&DT with Athletics Director Bob Beretta and myself, Dan Tortora. And then every second and fourth Wednesday with Dolphin Dive, where we have the opportunity to feature stories from coaches as well as student athletes, staff members, future Dolphins, or alumni. So a lot of different stories being told of the Lemoyne Dolphins. Make sure you check that out on Wednesdays at 9 a.m. and they go to the archive after that, so you can subscribe to our youtube.com/wakeupcalldt channel, or you can just go to YouTube and search Wake Up Call DT as one word. You can also bookmark our Lemoyne tab on wakeupcalldt.com, and for more information on the Dolphins, you can go to LemoyneDolphins.com. Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora is also the proud multimedia marketing partner of your Marywood University Pacers. It is Pacer Pride all day, day, and of course you find the Pacers every Friday from between the 10 a.m. and 11 a.m. Eastern Time hour on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Pacer Pride episodes are featured on Fridays live, and then you can go find them in the archive on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. Click subscribe. The library of all of our Marywood Pacers exclusive content comes to you on the Marywood tab of wakeupcalldt.com, and you can always get more information by going to marywoodpacers.com. The Bobcats are also the exclusive multimedia marketing partnership connection that we have here with Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, featuring your Bryant and Stratton College Syracuse Bobcats every single month. We have plenty that we started off February and the early part of March with. You don't want to miss a second of our Bobcats coverage. You can go and check all that out by going to the BSC SYR tab on wakeupcalldt.com. You can also subscribe on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt, and finding our YouTube channel, which is Wake Up Call DT, all one word. Once you click subscribe, you'll see all the Bobcats in our archive, and you can check out more information by going to syracuse.bscbobcats.com. We proudly welcome the Bobcats as our newest multimedia marketing partner. With that being said, I hope you all have a fantastic day. Please stay safe, and please learn how to compromise better than Major League Baseball right now. I'm praying for baseball. I'm praying for everybody involved. And I'm praying for the fans above everything. And more than anything else, I'm praying for our health, our safety, and our happiness, because I want to see us all do well. I want to see us all stay safe. And I want to see us all have a fantastic and wonderful day and night and so on. So, with that being said, thank you to my incredible guests, Papa Joe, Ross Turetsky, speaking on Major League Baseball, inside of Ma and Pa's Popcorn.com's What's Poppin'. Thank you to Cafe Kubal. Find them at all their locations, 3501 James Street in Syracuse, 401 Salina Street in South Salina Street in Syracuse, as well as by going to the corner of Route 11 and Taft Road at Sweetheart Corners in North Syracuse for their drive-through location, 343 Fayette Street, Manlius, New York, and inside of Galisanos Children's Hospital. You can also go get my nachos right now, my DTCNY nachos, exclusively at PB&J's Lunchbox, and get a cup of your Cafe Kubal coffee, all in the same place on 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York. In the meantime, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Facebook at Wake Up Call DT, the Twitters at Call DT, Instagram at Wake Up Call _DT, and of course,